Hello and what's up everyone, Thunder Bob here, and I am checking out some more Diablo 2 Resurrected tonight. I am playing a sorceress. This is an offline sorceress. I'm using some edited characters to test out builds. I've got an online sorceress who is Orb Firewall, and I'm thinking about transitioning different directions. I've always been someone who focused on the fire or the cold trees really in my Diablo history, but I'm being told, by a lot of people that lightning is the way to go when you become really wealthy and you can kind of get anything in the game. And while I'm not quite there, I'm kind of turning that corner where I'm getting some high runes and, I'm getting some higher end gear and considering, trying out lightning online. But I wanted to test it out in a single player capacity first before I invest that much online. Um, so this is pretty high-end gear, close to top possible damage. There's a couple of items you could debate about, and I'm going to go through the items, the skills, and then we'll go through and do like player 8 chaos and check out a couple different areas, maybe cows, maybe Baal. But start off with the gear. Get a shooters here. This is a +3 with the extra lightning damage. I've got a facet in there as well. You could also go with like Crescent Moon was a good alternative because of the massive negative lightning resist on it. I think it's debatable depending on what you're fighting, which is better if the enemy has, negative 100 lightning resist from your conviction and your other negative gear. Crescent Moon is probably not doing much, but otherwise it's probably better. But I went with Yeshuda's. You got Griffin's Eye. This is, I think, the best in the slot for Lightning Sorceresses. You've got a facet in there as well. I got Mara's Kaleidoscope. If you're going for the 200 FCR, you would probably use like a crafted amulet with 20 FCR on it, but I'm going for the 117, so I didn't bother. And the resists are nice on this. You got Spirit. You could also go with like a J mod if you really wanted like the top of the top and put 4 facets in there for the extra damage and lightning resistance reduction. But Spirit is a lot more attainable, and that's what I went with here. Ormus Robes, you got it with +3 lightning, and you got it with the maximum lightning damage, and you got 1 facet in there. Ormus Robes, not super expensive, but if you want top damaging one with the plus lightning or blizzard, they get kind of pricey. So keep that in mind. War Travelers, just all around pretty decent boots with some magic bind on them. I got an SOJ, Arachnids, SOJ, Mage Fist, and you could go with like Frostburns might even be better. I don't think I actually need this 20 FCR. I was actually looking at doing 200 and I scaled it back. It was just not going to hit it without changing out a lot more gear. So Frosty's is actually probably better just because of how lightning hungry lightning is. And then I've got some lightning and life skill charms, Annihilus, Hellfire Torch, and just some crazy life resist charms. This is stuff that I probably will never get online. These are super expensive. If I run this, I'll probably just use basic lightning skillers. They're a lot more affordable if you're trading for them. But I'm going all out here on this single player character. Yeah, so on the Switch, you got Call to Arms with the Spirit. That's the basics. 7 to 47,000 damage. And that is not 7,000 to 47. That is 7 damage to 47,000 damage. That is the one major negative of Lightning, is the huge range of the damage. So you could do a lightning and it could deal 10 damage, or you could do a lightning and it could do 47,000 damage. So that's one negative. I've run through this a few times. It's a really fun build. We're gonna do Chaos Sanctuary to start with. But start with, let's look at the build real quick here. You got basically lightning and chain lightning, your main abilities. 90% of the time you'll use lightning. In player 1, you might use chain lightning, just because you're dealing enough damage that you don't need, the full damage from lightning. But most of the time you'll go with lightning. You max out all of its synergies: Nova, Charge Bolt, Lightning, Chain Lightning, Lightning Mastery. A lot of people go down to Energy Shield. I'm not going with it on this build. 1 point over in Frozen Armor, 1 point over in Warmth. I put the remaining points in Warmth since this is a level 99 character. Yeah, but that's the basics. It's not too complex. It's basically your lightning synergies plus an armor plus warmth. Alright, so let's go ahead and do Chaos Sanctuary, and we'll see how this goes. I've already got player 8 turned on. And I do have that 105 FCR breakpoint. So it's not the top breakpoint. You could hit 200 to hit the very top. And I'm just gonna bounce over. But it's kind of hard to do that while maintaining a good amount of plus skills and a good amount of damage. There are definitely people that advocate for it. If you're wanting to attack super fast, go with the 200, but generally, I don't think it's worth it. And there's some amount of skill needed, because you have to, like, line up the enemies when you're using lightning. Because this is an attack that kind of, like, pierces across the screen, but if you're not, if you're not getting enemies lined up, you're going to be here forever. Help actually. Okay. Gotta pick up some potions here because I did not refill before I left town like an idiot. I can't carry anymore. And there's lightning immune. And that's the other kind of downside of this build is you cannot really deal with immunities. Like, I have nothing except for my Merc to deal with this enemy. And my Merc, I'm going to show you this, but Infinity, Fortitude, and Dariel's Visage. So he's going to take care of any immunities without much trouble. And there's a second one. Look at that. I got the bug on this thing. You guys run into this a lot. I'd say like 50% of the time I cannot click it. There we go. But this is probably the fastest build for Chaos Sanctuary. You could argue the Lizard is pretty awesome too, but I think for player 8 in particular, Lightning scales super well. It just pretty much one-shots anything as long as I don't hit the lower end of the damage range, which happens. So there are times where, like, suddenly, oh, that's Lightning Moon, but there are definitely times where you're like, I have to cast like 11 times because I'm getting the lower end of that spectrum. One nice thing, so I've got Infinity on the Mercenary, and a beautiful thing about that is most enemies that are lightning immune have much lower resistances than like fire or cold. So whereas Infinity only does so much, against your lightning and your cold immunes, it will usually break your lightning immune. So while I only have one type of damage, Infinity will break the majority of them. That's why Infinity is so critical for a Lightning Sorceress. And this is where Crescent Moon would probably come in handy, because his resists are a little bit higher. But that was super easy. I think I might load up and do like some cows and just show how this does in a cow game, and maybe also do Baal as well. Okay, so we're gonna do some cows here and just kind of show you how it does here. Chaos is probably the best place to farm with this build, but it does pretty well in cows. This is player 8. Cows, by the way. And it's that high damage variation will sometimes come into play where you're like, you'll cast one time and you might kill a cow, and then it might take multiple the next time. It's just how it works. I went right into those guys. Another thing that's a little bit frustrating with lightning, blizzard or those skills are kind of like fire and forget. They've got a cooldown, so you can only cast it so often. So you'll cast your blizzard, then you kind of move around. Maybe you get into position. Maybe you do some frostbolt or whatever in between. Same thing with orb. Like generally you're doing orb, and maybe you'll do some positioning. Maybe you'll throw out a spell here or there in between, but for lightning, I mean, you're spamming lightning the entire time you're playing. Either doing that or you're teleporting to the next group of monsters, and it's a bit more like fatiguing. Like I have inherited from my late father some carpal tunnel problems, and like some builds are just not as good on my wrist as others, and this is one that I think requires a certain amount of, like, spamming. It's still a really fun build, and I'm kind of debating if I want to transition my online sorceress this way eventually. Like, I'm doing quite well with the Orb Firewall and Blizzard Firewall builds. I've been kind of transitioning between. And I've got some videos on the channel if you want to see both my online sorceress and also, like, some examples of very, very high-end or Blizzard Firewall setups. Got both of those on this playlist if you want to check them out. Yeah, so this does pretty great at player 8 cows. I'd say Blizzard probably is better for cows just because of the large area it covers, but I think Chaos Sanctuary Lightning is probably the clear winner. And I'm not going to do this whole thing. I just wanted to kind of demo the playstyle. I think I might follow this up and finish this up with a Baal run. And, yeah, I'll be right back with that. Okay, so we're in Act 5. We're going to set up players 8 here. And you know what? Forgot I took these out when I was moving some stuff around. So in the cows, I actually was 2 skills down. Alright. And I'm just gonna skip this and kind of rush to Baal. There we go. I'm so used to this FCR on my Sorceress on Battle.net. I go for the 105 breakpoint as well. And I couldn't go under that at this point. I think that's the very minimum if I was going to play Sorceress that I would play with. It's just so nice to have that fast teleport. And even these champion mobs, I'm like 2 to 3 shotting them in players 8 solo here. It's pretty great. I mean, Blizzard is kind of comparable in damage, but you're probably waiting, you know, for 1 to 2 ticks of that. And while that's happening, you can't, you know, keep casting.
I can't carry anymore.
And I am not a master at this build by any means, so if there's any tips, any suggestions, items, or just my playstyle, let me know. I'm definitely more of a fire and frost focused sorceress in my not just D2R, but even in the past when I played Diablo 2. You know, I've actually had a hankering to go back and play Diablo 1, and I always loved Chain Lightning in Diablo 1. thinking about doing a let's play. I saw that there are some mods out there that modernize Diablo 1 to let you play on like widescreen or ultra wide. I was definitely curious if anyone has any experience with it. Let me know what they think, or if you would be interested in watching a playthrough of Diablo 1. Let me know. It's been a couple years since I played through it, but it's still... That's actually what brought me to the series. I played Diablo 1, not right at release, because I didn't get a computer until, like, I want to say Christmas of 99 or so. But that was one of the first games I played through when I got my computer. And then when Diablo 2 came out, I got that day one, and I got the collector's edition sitting on the mantle behind me. Shoot. I just realized I didn't have, I usually have that on F2, and it was not on F2. That's a noob of me. Yeah, I think that Crescent Moon would definitely help here, because of the high resists on the bosses. Some sorcerers even carry around, I've heard, Infinity because of that negative 55 to enemy lightning resist. I don't know if that would be worth losing both the spirit and, you know, plus skills here. But that Crescent Moon's kind of in between. I think it's negative 35 enemy resist. You'd lose the +3 and the FCR and all that stuff, but it might be worth it. Yeah, so that is Diablo, Cows, and Baal, all in Player 8 difficulty on a ridiculously well-geared sorceress. I don't know, I still love the Fire Frost build, and it's a little less clicky, a little less demanding on my aged wrist here, so I'm gonna think it over. But it's definitely a fun build, and if you can afford it, you know, Griffin's is super expensive, Shuda's pretty pricey. Those are probably the most expensive items, and some of this there are cheaper alternatives. A +3 skill lightning tiara is probably, you know, gonna add pretty comparable damage to Griffin's. Griffin's I think would be better. You know, +3 amulet. You could use Oculus, you know, in the meantime. Oramus isn't super pricey, though if you want a really perfect one, they can be. So, like, while this can be a super expensive setup, there are a couple of shortcuts. Infinity, though, I'm told, is a pretty big game changer. So this is probably the most expensive item in the build. So that would be one, you know, the one piece you probably need to make sure you can afford before you do this. I'm going to end the video here. If you like this, I have a whole playlist full of other endgame builds, both on my Battle.net characters and in single player, where I'm kind of testing out different builds. Check them out. And if you do like it, please consider subscribing. I would definitely appreciate it. Thank you again for watching, everyone. Have a good night.